Greetings, esteemed viewer. I'm Trainer Nick, and welcome to Trainer Nick's Tabletop Gaming. Today, for the first episode of Tabletop Nick, we're going to be looking at Marvel Dicemasters. So Marvel Dicemasters is a dice-building game, which sounds pretty exciting. It's one that got really popular in America, like really quickly. So quickly that it actually completely sold out before Australian shores could really use it at all. I was lucky enough to get 2 lots of the starter set, and that's what I'll be using today. Starter set comes with 44 dice, 38 cards, and 2 dice bags, which we won't be using because they're terrible little wax paper things which I just wouldn't use. And the basic idea of the game is that you build a team of Marvel superheroes to beat up the other team with, which sounds pretty cool, so let's get into it. So at the start of the game, each player has 4 characters and 2 basic action die out. But since this is using 2 of the base set, I've already arranged different decks for both sides. So the blue side is running Thor, Human Torch, Captain America, and Iron Man, and as their basic units, basic actions rather, they're using Take Cover and Invulnerability. Now, the basic tactic on the blue side is going to be use Human Torch's ability, which is whenever Human Torch is active, each time you field a character, you may roll 1 Human Torch from your use pile, and it's a way to get more Human Torches. And Captain America, which is, while it's active, your sidekick characters get +1 attack and defense, no matter how many Captain America dice you have fielded. So the strategy here is going to be get a lot of sidekicks out while Captain America and Human Torch are both in play, and then use Thor and Iron Man as the big hitters. On the red side, we're going to be using Storm, Beast, Spider-Man, and Hulk. And their action dice are Distraction and Gearing Up. So all of the Beast cards pretty much make him an excellent chump blocker. The one that I'm going to be using, Beast Mutate 666, is whenever Beast blocks, draw 1 die and place it in your prep area, or if he's got the burst symbol active, instead draw 2 dice, place 1 in your prep area and the other in your used pile. And he's going to be pretty much teaming up with Spider-Man Webslinger, which is, when Spider-Man assigns to attack, you can spend 1 fist energy to force every opposing character to block him if able. So the idea here is going to be build up a giant army of things here, with 1 Spider-Man, use Spider-Man to force all your opponents to block him, and then all your smaller people will force through and take out the opponent's life. Hulk does a lot of damage, and the one that I've chosen is Hulk Annihilator, which ends up letting you add more Hulk dice from your use pile to your prep area whenever you take damage, which is going to be really useful. And the Storm is just Storm African Priestess. All of Storm's powers revolve around re-rolling your opponent's dice. This one re-rolls them when you field Storm. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the game. So, I'll start on the blue side. The turn order is printed at the top of these mats. By the way, yes, I did make them myself because this game hasn't really gotten a lot of support in Australia yet, so I have had to make the mats myself. The first phase is the clear and draw phase. We have nothing to clear, so instead we just draw. At the start of your turn, you draw 4 dice from your dice bag. I'm not using a dice bag. I'm using a dice box, pretty much, because it's better than the bags that they give you with the game. So, we go through the box, count out our 4 dice, and then we roll them. After we've rolled the dice, we look at them, we see if we want to keep any. And at this point, I think that's a pretty decent roll. We will keep all of those. Dice that we keep go into our reserve pool. We can then use them. This dice has landed on a sidekick face, which has 0 cost, 1 damage and 1 defense. The 0 cost means we can stick it out in the field straight away. Then with our energy, we can buy other character. How energy works to buy characters is, question marks are pretty much any, sorry, you can't see that. Question marks are any energy you want. The rest of them have different faces. So here we have a mask and a fist, which means that we can buy any character of 3, any card of 3 energy or less that uses a fist symbol, a mask symbol, or any symbol. Human Torch is a lightning symbol character, So to buy him, we need a lightning symbol, which is what our question mark will be used for. We spend the 3 to take 1 Human Torch die, it goes into our used pile, and now, because we have a character fielded, we have the chance to go to the attack phase. I am not going to go to the attack phase yet. So, we pass on to Red's turn. So I'll adjust the camera so you can see it a bit better, and we'll start Red's turn. So, we draw our 4 dice from our dice bag. There they are. Roll them. And we've ended up with 1 mask, 2 fists, and 1 sidekick. Now we have the option to re-roll any of these dice once, and I think I will re-roll both of these. We ended up with 2 fists, so that didn't do much anyway. Instead of buying a beast card, which I could do, or a storm, I'm actually going to buy one of the gearing up ones. Because gearing up is an action ability that lets me draw 2 dice from my bag and roll them straight away. And with pretty much any game where you have a deck or a dice pool or whatever, drawing more is always a good idea. Especially in this game where I'm going to need more energy to buy my heavy hitters, Spider-Man and Hulk. So because I've got nothing to do, I pass the turn and it goes over to blue again. So again, we draw our 4 dice. There are only going to be 4 left in the bag, so we draw them. Roll them, decide if we want to keep any of those. So, we've gotten 1 sidekick face, which we'll field, a question mark, a lightning bolt, and a defense crest, which means we can buy another Human Torch die. Now we have the option to attack, and because there's nothing in the opponent's field zone, we could get through and do 2 damage to them straight away. But after a character has done damage without being blocked, it actually ends up back in the used pile, which means it would go back into the dice box next turn, and therefore make it harder to draw the Human Torch dice that we want. So, we'll leave them there for now, and pass over to Red. Red draws their 4 dice. We roll them, and we've gotten 4 lots of energy, 2 masks, 1 shield crest, and 1 lightning bolt. We could now buy 2 beasts, but we could also buy 1 gearing up. And gearing up at this point is probably going to be more exciting, because if we use gearing up, next turn we get to draw through most of the used dice. So once again, the red side isn't fielding any characters, so we can just move straight on back to Blue's turn. So, Blue's turn. Blue checks their dice box. There's no dice in here. So all the dice from the used pile go back into the dice box, shake it around a bit, and draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we've drawn a Human Torch die, which means we've got a chance of bringing Torch back into the game. Well, not back into the game, rather into the game for the first time. So, what we've rolled on our first roll is this face of the Human Torch, which you can't actually see the numbers on, so I'll bring it up there. This face of the Human Torch, a question mark, a lightning bolt, and a fist. So, on this face of the Human Torch, if I bring it closer to the camera for you, you can see that it has a 2 up in this corner, a 4 in this corner, and a 4 in this corner. The 2 up here is its cost to be fielded, the 4 up here is its attack strength, and the 4 down here is its defense strength. The 2 to cost means that it's going to take us 2 energy to put him back into play. So, I suppose it's not such a bad idea to spend that 2 energy now, and go for it. So use those, bring the torch into play. The question mark energy then goes into our reserve pool. Because it's an energy type, we can actually save that until the start of our next turn if we need to. So now that we've got some sidekicks in play and the Human Torch, we can be fine with attacking. We want Torch to stay in play, so we don't attack with him. Instead, we attack with the 2 sidekicks that we've got. So we enter the attack step, move them to the attack zone, and then Red has the opportunity to block. Red has no blockers, so he has to take the full 2 damage from the sidekicks. Afterwards, since they did damage, the sidekicks end up in the used pile. And then we pass on to red's turn. So again, red has no dice in their bag. So we take all of their dice from their used pile, stick them into the dice bag, and draw 4. And we've got one of our red dice, the gearing up dice. So, we can roll. The way that the basic action dice work is they have a few faces. They have an exclamation mark with 1 burst, 1 burst, 2 bursts, and no bursts, or they have 3 faces with this 2 on them, which just means 2 colorless energy. With gearing up, it doesn't matter what the burst symbol is, because gearing up has no burst effect, so we'll put that in our reserve pool immediately, and then decide whether or not we're going to re-roll our dice. We're going to leave those as is. So we use the effect of gearing up right away, which is draw 2 dice and roll them. We drew 2 black dice, so we roll them, and we got a shield and a question mark, which means we've got 5 energy to use all up. And I think we will use that right away, because it means we can purchase a Spider-Man die. We've got no characters to field, so it goes back to Blue's turn. Start of Blue's turn, the energy that they haven't used ends up in the used pile, and we draw 4 dice. We roll them, we see that we've got a torch and 3 energy. But the torch is the same one that we have already, which is the one that costs extra energy, so we might actually re-roll that one. And the mask one too. Since none of the characters on the blue side cost a mask energy to field, we don't need the mask energy. Of course, we re-roll the mask energy anyway, so that doesn't matter. So what we can do is spend 1 energy to field this Human Torch die, which activates the Human Torch Matchstick ability. Each time you field a character, you may roll 1 Human Torch from your use pile. He doesn't have any, so that doesn't matter. And then with our 2 energy left over, we can actually buy one of the green dice, for the cost is 2, which means we've got 1 invulnerability in our discard pile. So on most other turns, it would be advisable to use a Human Torch to attack, so that it would end up in the used pile, meaning we could roll it again next turn with this Human Torch's ability. But because there are no dice left in the dice bag, it would end up in the dice bag first. However, we're still going to attack for 4, because it brings red down a few pegs. Red is now on 9 life, and blue is sitting still on 15. So we draw our 4 dice, we've got another gearing up, and 3 sidekick dice, so let's roll them. That's 5 energy, which is pretty decent. But we actually want to re-roll this and try for the other side, which we didn't get. With our 5 energy, we could buy another Spider-Man, and that would increase our chances of drawing Spider-Man next turn. Or we could draw another gearing up, which gives us more draw power overall. At this point, I think it'd be better to take the Spider-Man, so I will. So red is really going to have to start getting some characters out so that he can start blocking, or blue is just going to straight up overrun. So I've run the game forward a little bit. The blue side has grabbed a Captain America die and all of the Human Torch die. The red side has tried to make a bit of a comeback and indeed has some characters out, but is down to 3 life, and this turn could very well be the last. The blue side has picked up a Captain America die, a Human Torch die, and the yellow die, which is for distraction. Now what distraction does is the opponent has to choose 2 of their characters and they can't block this turn. Red side only has 2 characters in play, 1 Spider-Man and 1 Beast. If those characters cannot block and blue side gets a Human Torch or a Captain America side out, that will be the end of the game. So we roll. And luckily for the red side, those 2 rolls are both energy sides, so they're going to have to get lucky to roll either of those characters out. But guess what? They got Torch. All blue side needs to do is spend 1 energy to field the torch. He also has a sidekick to play. Then use the distraction action die. And what that means is that red has to pick 2 of their defenders and they cannot block this turn. So, red has to choose these 2 blockers. They can't block. All it means is that Human Torch flies through, deals his 3 damage, and knocks out red team. And what that means is I pretty much didn't get to show you how combat works, so I'm going to show you how combat works. Let's pretend that no one rolled distraction that turn. Torch assigns to attack, red side gets a chance to block. They send in Spider-Man. Both of these characters have attack of 3 and defense of 3, so they cancel each other out perfectly. When a character is KO'd, it goes to the KO pile, and what that means is after the attack step is done, it gets moved to the prep area. When a die is in the prep area, you add it to the 4 dice that you roll at the start of the turn. So if you have 5 dice in your prep area, you're going to end up rolling 9 dice at the start of your turn. Attacks that go straight on through, as I already said, do the damage and then end up in the used pile. So on and so forth. So, blue side ended up winning, obviously. Red side sort of had too slow of a start to actually fight back in the end, although they did end up doing 3 damage to the blue side. Given a few more turns, red side probably could have started building up momentum, but the lucky roll of that distraction over there pretty much meant that they were screwed from the beginning. I suppose I should probably make a funny one-liner about this, so here we go. Red's chances really went up in flame. Ha ha! Okay, so that was Marvel Dicemasters. What did you think? If you've already got the game, please tell me how you'd play the game. I'm really interested to know more strats and everything else. I really enjoyed the game. I'd probably give it a 8 out of 10. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. Bye!